Hey guys, I've got another mini reviews video for you today, and we're going to be talking about products that I hauled or talked about in the month of October in 2018. And if you're new to my channel, I like to do these mini reviews. My initial plan was to go back 6 months and talk about some products. I got a little bit far behind, so now we're doing 10 months. I've desperately been trying to catch up, but September had 3 parts. October, I think, is going to have 2 parts. I'm really going to try and make it short, and maybe I'll be able to squeeze November in there, and then we can get closer to 6 months out. Anyway, we're going to be talking about old products here and sort of like my final thoughts on them. So let's go ahead and get started. The first product that I talked about in October is the Charlotte Tilbury Stars in Your Eyes palette. I believe this was a limited edition palette, and I don't think you can get this anymore, but that is this guy. And I really enjoyed this palette. What I will say is I never really got a look out of this that I was like, wow, I love my eye makeup. That was kind of the disappointing thing about this palette. While it was lovely, and I think the quality of the shadows were really nice, I thought they felt really smooth. I remember they blended really nicely. My issue was that it just didn't really blow me away. So after like my initial usage of this palette, I remember using it quite a few times when I first got it. I kind of put it away, and I just never really thought about it again. All right, next I did a whole video on Pat McGrath's, at that point, very brand new Lip Fetish Sheer Color Balms, and I got all of them. I remember getting the everything kit, and I just, here's the organizer where they're all sitting in. Unfortunately, and I don't know what it is. I love a sheer tinted balm. I love lip glosses. I love any kind of lip product that's just really easy to kind of throw on. But for some reason, there were only 2 colors in here that I reached for relatively consistently, and the rest, unfortunately, I have not used that much. So the first one is Xoxo, and that's this color, very nude. Again, these are like sheer balms, very easy to wear. And this is like a warmer tone beige. And then Blow Up is the one that I actually use the most. Wow, this bullet looks really weird. So I actually used Blow Up the most. It's a little bit more of like a neutral colored balm. So this one I use the most. The others, they just haven't called to me. Even Flesh 3, while I used it, it's not something that I think to use. And maybe that's it. Maybe with Pat McGrath, I always think to grab her lip glosses. That's probably the first lip product from her that I think to use. And then her Luxe Trance. I love Lust Angeles. There's so many colors. I love her Luxe Trance lipsticks. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's because I have a lot of lip products, but I really thought that these were gonna be like favorites of mine, but they're just not. Like I said, Xoxo and Blow Up were the only 2 that I reached for on a relatively regular basis. And that's it. The other colors have kind of fallen to the wayside. So unfortunate, but c'est la vie. Okay, and next I talk about the Natasha Denona Gold palette. I love this palette, and I am very, very close to doing a ranked Natasha Denona palette. My issue is I have my number 1, and I have like the last ones that, I don't use very often, or I don't like for whatever reason. But I have like this battle going on for spots 2, 3, and 4. Like in my mind, they keep rotating. This is one of them. So the gold palette, I just adore. I know when she announced this palette, so many people were like, what am I going to do with a palette like full of gold shades? I happen to like gold shades, so I was like, I'm getting that. I think it's going to be awesome. But I did have that thought, like, well, how often am I going to use it? Or how many looks will you be able to make out of a palette that's just gold? But I think it is amazing. I think with the addition of these blues, all of a sudden you can create at least 2 different looks, because you have the golds and then you have the blues, and then you can mix all those together. And then she threw in some really warm tone browns, some more neutral browns, and then all of a sudden I felt like you could create all of these different eye looks from a palette that's really based around the color gold, and it's so beautiful. I love the quality of these shadows too. This is such a good palette. I use it often. Unfortunately, it's not a palette I feel like I can travel with. I don't feel like if I wanted just a very kind of simple everyday look that I could get it from here. But if I want to do a look, if I want to make a statement, it's actually kind of like the very opposite of this palette. This palette, I felt like all I could get were these kind of like daytime, everyday, kind of like office appropriate kind of looks. That was this palette. This one I feel like is happy hour and later. This palette is just total fun. So I love this palette, enjoying this palette still very, very much. Whenever people ask me like, oh, should I get the gold palette? I'm like, yes. If you want it, if the color story appeals to you, if you feel like maybe you're missing gold shadows in your life, this palette is such a good one. So loved this palette still. I'm sure we'll continue to love this palette. So that's the Natasha Denona Gold palette. All right, and then I did a video. This was in collaboration with my good friend, Kate the Great Beauty. And we did a collab on the Dose of Colors, Desi and Katy collaboration. And this was their second one. This is the one that had the Friendcation palette and the most lip gloss. So I remember really enjoying the Friendcation palette, but it has an ingredient in there, kaolin, which is a clay, which is a very... Did you guys just hear that thunder? That was crazy. I must inspect. Hold on. The sky is... Whoa. Oh, just got a flood alert. The sky is falling outside and the wind is starting to pick up. Sorry, back to Dose of Colors, Desi and Katy. So the Friendcation palette has kaolin in it. I've spoken about this before. It's a clay. It's a very normal ingredient in eyeshadows especially, and in some like clay masks or whatever. It's a very normal ingredient. I just personally have a sensitivity to kaolin. If I use it day after day, it brings out the eczema, especially in eyeshadow since my eyelids are so sensitive. So when I got the palette, I was a little bit disappointed, but I wanted to do this collab with Kate the Great, and the palette just looked so beautiful, is very beautiful. So I used it for the video, and I used it a couple times, but I just eventually decluttered it because I was like, I'm just not using it. So it went to a much better home. And then I also talked about the Mauve Story Liquid Velvet and the Aftermath lipstick. Both of those I have decluttered. The liquid lipstick, I pretty much just got it for the video because I wanted to show you guys, but I'm not a liquid lipstick wearer, and it was just sort of sitting in my drawer. So that went to a better home as well. The Aftermath lipstick, I think the color was off, and I felt that way about their first collaboration. Like all of the undertones of their lipsticks were just off for me, not off in general, off for me, off for my skin tone. They were like a little bit too warm. I remember the Aftermath was a little bit better than their first collaboration. Those two colors were very, very orangey on my skin tone, but the Aftermath still wasn't quite right. So again, another product that I wasn't really reaching for, so that went to a better home. But the Most lip gloss, I love it. I still have it. Do I reach for it often? No, but I really, really liked the Over the Top lip gloss, which was part of their first collaboration, and this one. I think they're great. They're great, great lip toppers and just a lot of fun. This one has like a really fun sparkle to it. It has like a little milkiness to it, so it's great on its own. If you just want to wear it maybe over some lip liner, if you just want to wear this instead of just some plain balm, it's really nice. And I like the texture of it. It's not too sticky, but it's not too oily, so it stays put. Anyway, the lip gloss for me was definitely a keeper. So that's the Dose of Colors collab with Desi and Katy. All right, and next I do a haul and I talk about the La Mer cushion. The La Mer cushion, unfortunately, it just didn't work out that nicely for me. It didn't look that great on my skin. What's the word? I guess it just wasn't as radiant as I thought it would be. It's, you know, not that I need something that's going to make me look greasy, but this just made my skin, I don't know, it just didn't really do much for it. It also could have been the shade. So the shade range for their cushions was more limited than their regular foundation. And I ended up having to get Neutral Ivory number 12, which I think is a little bit light for me. I have 12 in the regular foundation and I can only use that like on this part of my face, the paler part of my face. It's a nice match for my neck, but for like the rest of my face, it just ends up looking a little chalky. Like it looks a little bit too white. And so it just doesn't look that great on my face, but I have learned to mix this with the Clé de Peau cushion foundation that for me oxidizes a little bit. It gets a little bit too orangey and kind of warm undertone. So the mixture of the two of these is actually a good one. I don't do it often because that's an additional step that I don't usually have time for, but the Clé de Peau is radiant and that does like a really nice kind of thing to my skin where this one doesn't. So I basically use this to just kind of like tone down the warmth of the Clé de Peau cushion. So that's how I've been using this, but on its own, not my favorite. And then I got this La Mer, this was a limited edition, the Illuminating Cream. This I didn't really like at all. I don't think it did that much. There's a little bit of luminosity to it. It has like a little bit of a pink tinge to it, much like the bottle, but the texture of this quote-unquote cream is really, really thin, and I just never really got on with this. I felt like if I added this into something to kind of like beef it up a little bit, then you couldn't really see the illuminating properties, and then on its own it was just kind of like blah. Like, do you see, like, as soon as I rub it in, it's just kind of, I don't know, like the glow of it just kind of goes away. So if you wanted something really subtle, this could have worked for you, but I don't know. I was not very impressed with this. Big storm coming. I'm like particularly concerned today because I just picked up a friend from her hotel to drop her off at the airport, and I think her flight leaves in 10 minutes. Oh, I hope they take off. All right, the next thing I hauled was a Patchology kimchi face mask collaboration. And it was like a set of 4 masks, and I was so excited to get them, but I feel like this is the theme of this video, but there was kaolin in the masks. I think the masks were to help with like oil absorption, things like that, so it would be a great ingredient for that, but again, I couldn't really use it, but I held on to them because I love kimchi. I wanted to support kimchi anyway, and the face masks were supposed to have like his different looks on there. I know, even though I can't use them or couldn't use them and still haven't used them, that I held on to them, but I can't find them. I don't know what I did with them. And this room is not that big, so I don't know what I did with them. Maybe I gave them to a friend, but I'm pretty sure I kept them just kind of as like a little souvenir. And then next I got a Chantecaille Le Chrome Luxe Duo eyeshadow in Kenya. This is their newest one, and I love these eyeshadows. They are so beautiful. They are so reflective and shiny and just really, really beautiful. Let me just swatch these for you. And they just look so, so gorgeous on the lids. I actually just hauled another one. I purchased another of these duos in Tibet. I can't wait to use that. That is still just kind of sitting there waiting for me to do like a video with like new makeup. But anyway, love that. That one is in Kenya. And then this was the first time I tried one of the lip veils, and this is in Baobab. I love, 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 and I've talked about this a lot ever since this video, but I love this formula. It is beautiful, comfortable, nourishing, but they're pigmented. It's almost like a formula you would think would be kind of sheer because it's just so moisturizing, but they're actually very, very pigmented despite how balmy they feel. Since this video, I've purchased 2, the Frangipani, which is part of the summer collection, and Honey Pot, which is sitting out here because I was just wearing this, and Honey Pot is a more neutral color. So I love these Chantecaille lip veils. I'm just gonna keep going, even though I think you can probably hear the rain now. So next I purchased some Clé de Peau limited edition stuff. I got the pressed powder, and I love this pressed powder. It is so, so beautiful. It's called Pink Push Me, and you can't get this anymore, but it has this really like light pink tint to it, and I thought that may not look great on my skin, but it looked really nice. Sometimes pink powders can make my skin look very, very chalky and ashy, but this pink actually really brightened up my complexion. So I love this powder. I haven't used it too often because I don't know, I don't want to use it with you guys, you know, something that you guys can't get and something that was so limited edition. And then I also picked up the highlighter stick, and this is a beautiful highlighter stick. Again, something I don't use very often because you guys can't get it, but I really love this highlighter stick because it left a really subtle but effective kind of highlight. I guess that because this is a stick highlighter, even though it has like pearly bits in there and like a metallic sheen, I guess because of the formula, it also looks kind of glossy. So I really enjoyed this product. I still use it on occasion, but I try not to use it on camera with you guys. And then I picked up the Tatcha Silk Canvas. So when I picked this up and I used it, I thought, oh, you know, it's nice. It does like a nice job kind of smoothing out my complexion. I think it creates a nice canvas for makeup. But when I talked about this, many of you mentioned the Giorgio Armani Glow On Moisturizing Balm. My God, can you guys hear me? I'm just gonna get closer to the microphone. The Giorgio Armani Glow On Moisturizing Balm. You guys mentioned that to me, and so I went out and I got that because I really wanted to compare to this, and I love that one so much that I really haven't reached for this ever since I got that. So the reason is because that one has similar effects to the silk canvas. It really creates a nice canvas. It really kind of like smooths out your skin. It's lovely. but it also feels very moisturizing on the skin, where this doesn't at all. This doesn't feel like it's doing like anything for my skin. It doesn't feel like it's drying it out or anything, but the Armani one really feels like kind of adding an additional layer of moisture for my skin, and since I have dry skin, I'm always thankful for that. So that's the Silk Canvas. All right, next, the Viseart Libertine palette. I love these 9-pan palettes from Viseart. I think they're all really interesting. I think they're all really different. You know, we're always talking about like, oh, these palettes, they all kind of look the same from one another. I think Viseart really knocks it out of the park, especially when it comes to these 9-pans, because this to me is a very different and unique color story. And no, I don't pull this out very often because these colors are definitely very bright for me, very kind of out of my wheelhouse, especially this bottom row here. I don't use a lot of purples and blues. This like red shimmer color, again, very, very different for me. It would be very different for me to use. So I don't really actually use this palette very often, but I do think about it like fondly. I do go through my makeup quite often, as you can imagine, and this is one that I always pull and I always look at and I'm like, what a great color story. And then I put it away. But I think this is so lovely. I really do. And then once the Viseart Liaison palette came into my life, that's the one, this one with the kind of purple color story. Like I just said, I don't wear purples often, but when I want to, I think of this palette. I love this one. I think this is my favorite one of the 9-pan palettes. But anyway, I thought I would just show that one to you since we were talking about the Libertine. And then I got some Oribe stuff. As you guys know, or you may or may not know, but I love the Oribe Magnificent Volume shampoo and conditioner, and it looks like I hauled that. This was probably the second or third time that I purchased it. I just used it this morning, so I continuously repurchase that shampoo and conditioner. I really enjoy it. And then I decided to try the Thick Dry Finishing Spray, and it's in my bathroom. I apologize, so I don't have it here, but that one is okay. I feel like I was at this point constantly looking for sprays that would just give my hair a little bit more body. My hair, because I wash it every day and I really don't put that much like styling product in there, it's very like clean, and really clean hair just doesn't do much. It just kind of lays there flat. It really doesn't have a lot of personality. So I was looking for like a personality spray for my hair, and that one, it just was a little bit fussy. It said that you could spray it onto dry hair. It said that you could spray it onto like almost like not totally damp, but like almost dry hair. And that's the only way it worked for me. If I sprayed it onto dry hair, I didn't really see a difference. It didn't do much. But when my hair was just like 95% dry, you know, like right after you blow dry it, it's still a little damp at the roots. If I sprayed it then right at my roots, then I felt like, I don't know, maybe it mixing with the water, it really, really worked. But I don't know, like when I'm done blow drying my hair, I wrap up my hair dryer, I throw it in my drawer, and I walk out of the bathroom. Like I just don't do that much afterwards. And so that additional step was kind of annoying. Like I was looking for a spray that I could use like either later on in the day or maybe the next morning before I took like a shower and washed my hair again. Just something to kind of like just give it a little something. And so I've moved on to some other like, you know, dry shampoos and stuff. So that one, you know, it was okay, but I just never ever use it because I just don't, I don't know, I don't use it at that time when you need to, when your hair is still a little bit wet. All right, in the next video I did covered the Chanel Collection Libre, and this was probably one of my favorite collections like of all time. I just absolutely loved it. So they came out with, these I think were all limited edition products. They released a highlighter, and this one was the Le Lion de Chanel. And this was a follow-up to two other line highlighters that they came out with. One was more of like a white gold and one had like a pink tinge to it. So this one was warmer and deeper, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. Love this. I love all the line highlighters from Chanel. I just think they look so beautiful on the skin. Really, really wet. Love them. And then they also released all of these Lame single shadows that all had the little lion on there. And I love these shadows. These shadows were like so, so beautiful. They're definitely of a baked variety. And look at this one, the Vert Lame. So gorgeous. And then here was the copper one. Oh my God, absolutely stunning. I loved all of these shadows like so much. Look at this one. This was like highlighter for your eyes. Absolutely gorgeous. So I loved those single shadows. And then they came out with an ombre premier in Rose Lame, and this one is so beautiful. Look at this. It has like a very light pinky peachy base, but there's like a gold reflect in there. It is so stunning, and you can see I loved it. I loved it a little bit too hard there actually, but here is that on the hand. Isn't that so pretty? It just adds like the most beautiful finish to your lid. Love that. And then they had 2 glosses that came out with this collection. Flaming Lips, excuse me, Flaming Lips and Liquid Bronze. Now, the Flaming Lips I had on during the video, and I love this red on me. You know, in terms of a gloss, I feel like when you have a really opaque, brightly colored gloss, I'm very preoccupied with it. I feel like it's smearing everywhere, or I feel like it's getting on my teeth, and so I don't wear it often, even though I love this color. Look at that. It's like metallic. It's so cool. I don't wear it often though. This one, on the other hand, I wear often. It has like a bronze tinge to it, but when you actually wear it, it's just kind of a lip topper. It looks much more opaque in the tube, which may be disappointing to some, but I actually really like the just faint kind of bronzy shimmer it would give any lip color underneath, and by itself it's beautiful as well. So that was the Chanel Collection Libre, and I loved every single piece in it. And then last but not least, we'll cut it here. I covered the Tom Ford Virgin Orchid and the Tom Ford Daydream. So Tom Ford released all of these new quads, and he started with these 2. So Virgin Orchid, this is Daydream. Virgin Orchid is beautiful, but ever since he came out with all of his other quads, I just really haven't reached for this one that often. I really enjoy like some of his later ones, obviously the ones that he just came out with, like Body Heat, Suspicion, Double Indemnity. I love those 3 like so much. I love Super Nouveau, and I even like a lot of his older ones, like Titanium Smoke, Golden Mink, etc., etc. So this unfortunately has fallen to the wayside, but it is beautiful, and I love this formula, this wet dry formula from him. So that is Virgin Orchid. And then Daydream, I probably use even less than Virgin Orchid because it's got those purples and blues in there. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, just not colors that I wear often or think of very often. So that is Daydream. All right, well, that is it for this video, just in time for the storm to pass, and now it's quiet outside. I apologize. I hope you could hear me over the rain, and I will definitely be back for a part 2, and if you enjoy these videos, please don't forget to subscribe down below. Leave any comments down below in the comment section, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video.